Hello humans and extraterrestrials, so today I'm going to be talking to you about my COVID-9 reads, if you will. That's a very cringy title, I apologise, but these are basically the books that I want to at least try and get to during quarantine. Obviously we don't know how long this is going to last really, so I might only read like 2 of these, but I might read all of them and then some. So I have a lot of series, but I've only really got the first book to show you, or whatever book that I'm on to show you, because that's where we are. But we're going to start with Philip Pullman's his Dark Materials series. I read Northern Lights during February. I really enjoyed it. I rated it 5 stars. I thought it was fantastic. And I just didn't go back to the rest of the series. There's only 2 other books in that specific series, so it shouldn't take me too long to get through them. This is a lot shorter. This is 300 and something, and the other one's I think over 500, so it's a pretty average series all in all, so it won't take me too long to read, I don't think. If you're unaware, it's the Philip Pullman's his Dark Materials series is a fantasy, I guess, YA, young adult, yeah, I guess YA series about a girl called Lyra Silvertongue, who is, it's hard to explain, but she just goes on, you know, a generic adventure. Well, it's not generic, not at all, but you know what, it's hard to explain without spoiling everything, but she basically just sort of goes on an adventure with friends and meets new people along the way, etc, etc. Spoilery plot, but I fully loved the first one. So, and this features a new character, as I've seen, because I started reading it and then kind of was like, no, I'm not in the mood for fantasy, I've got to go back to it. This features Will, who's a new character who most people say this is their favourite because of him, I believe. But I don't know, I think Lyra's pretty awesome, but we'll see. So, the next start of a series actually is Marie Lou's Legend series. This is a series that was very big during the sort of dystopian era. Never end up reading it. I have the whole series down there. I've never actually read any of them. I bought them like 4 years ago and just never thought about it. It's based on Les Mis. It's just sort of like a dystopian, I think. I'm not a fan of dystopians, generally speaking. Like I hated things like Divergent, but I want to read them or decide I hate them and never touch them ever again. So I've got this. I also have, speaking of dystopians, The Hunger Games. I feel like this is the perfect time to read things like this because we're living in a dystopia. Although saying that could lead to bad brain thoughts and be like, why is this so similar? But, you know, the Hunger Games trilogy. If you're somehow unaware, these 3 books are about, well, it's based about a girl called Katniss Everdeen, is the sort of the perspective we see, but it is basically a trilogy about sort of being in, it's hard to explain I guess, but it's like a game show sort of survival thing where there's 12 girls, 12 boys, they're all, you know, teen-ish age, I think. Yeah, 16-year-olds, so they're all around 16, give or take a few years, and they basically have to survive. So yeah, I've got that to read. Can't wait. The next one I have is kind of wishful thinking, because the series is very long, and that is the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan. I finished The Last Olympian, which was the last of the original Percy Jackson series, very recently, like 2 days ago. And I want to read the rest of the other of Heroes of Olympus, which I own, but if you can see that, they are very big. They're all quite big books. They're between 500 and 600 pages each, I think, which is not like crazy long. But for me, who is someone who likes short books, 554 pages is a lot. And that's one of the 5, so it's gonna take me a while if I do end up reading it. But we will see. Oh, I just realised I forgot something. Wait, I'll be back. I've got more. I just realised I don't have them. Okay, I'm back. I left 2 books over, but I've got them now. So the next book that I want to, well, it's next series really, that I want to read at some point is the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. Now, this is in part because people won't hush about the Grishaverse, I think. And I want to know what the fuss is about. I impulse bought this entire series because the versions of these covers are freaking adorable. I don't know which version these are. Obviously it's a British release, but yeah. I want to see. I want to see if I can find the illustrator. Can't find them. But whoever did it, well done you. And it's shiny and they're all very pretty. So I kind of impulse bought them and like, oh, that's a well-known series. Also pretty book. But this is a sort of, I don't want to say generic, but I think kind of generic, sort of fantasy series about this girl called Alina who has sort of found out, she finds out she has this freaking magic, ooh crazy, and then has to become a soldier and sort of does what I don't know. What she does, I don't really know. But I've been told lots of good things. Also, most people love I think it's the Six of Crows duology, which is sort of a spin-off to this based on a few characters, and I've heard far better reviews of that than I have of this series. So I would like to read this series, if only to read Six of Crows, which I know is a thing that if you have to read 3 books to get to the good one. Why? But I also have a feeling I'm gonna think these are okay anyway. I'd rather read okay books, you know? Like there's nothing, if the books suck, I'm not touching it ever again, but you know. Now the next I have is, well, I have 1 book that I started and also 2, okay, I'll just go through them. So this is the Infernal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare. I read, as I've mentioned in maybe, well, it feels like 100 videos now, but it's maybe like 2. I read the Mortal Instruments series a few years ago. I thought they were phenomenal. Bought these not long after reading like the 3rd or 4th book in that series because I knew I was going to love it. And kind of started reading it, went off it a bit, and then didn't enjoy it. But as you can see by my bookmark, I'm currently about 100 pages, 107 I think pages in. No, 137. It's the start of chapter 6, is where I'm at right now. I'm really enjoying it and I want to read the rest of the series. But along with that, also, I'll explain first, if you're unaware, the Shadowhunters series, like the Shadowhunters universe, it's basically like these magical, well, not magical people, they're half angel, half human. They're called Nephilim, they're Shadowhunters. There's also like magical people like warlocks and vampires and werewolves, etc. In this universe, but that series was about people in sort of, I guess, modern day, although it was written slightly before, so like slightly behind modern day, and this is set in Victorian London. I spoke very fast there, and I'm enjoying this so far and I want to read the rest of the series. However, I also have these that I bought, I think at the same time as buying that one, so I want to know all the Shadowhunter stuff. So this is the Bane Chronicles, which I cannot read until I've read this, which is unfortunate, because I love Magnus Bane is maybe my favourite character. There's so many notifications. I mean, my favourite character in the entire series, show and books counting. He is a magical bisexual warlock who we love. And this is basically just a lot of little, I don't know that short stories is the right word, but I guess they are short stories. It's kind of like diary entries, but not really. I don't know, I've not read it yet. But it's just lots of little stories about things in his life pertaining to him, and also characters in both the Mortal Instruments and the Infernal Devices trilogy, which is why I need to read them first, because it pertains to characters and it might spoil things for me. I'm excited about this. This is Tales from Shadowhunter Academy, which is about Simon Lewis, who is a character from the Mortal Instruments, who is now a Shadowhunter for the first time because he was human, then vampire, now he's Shadowhunter, and he doesn't know what's going on, so he goes to Shadowhunter Academy, basically. This is a long one, I think. This is like 600 pages long. 651 pages long. Oh my goodness. But I'm excited. Also, no, he doesn't look like that. Alberto Rosende is the canon one to me. Okay, now they're all the like separate books, trilogy series. I also have, saying that, I think they are all trilogies minus Here's Olympus. Yeah, they are. Yeah. I also have 2 books that contain multiple things. So the first one is Arthur Conan Doyle's The Complete Sherlock Holmes. This is every single Sherlock Holmes story, which is I think 9 full books. If I remember correctly. Let me see. Skip through the... Oh no, I'm in Studying Scarlet. 1, 2, 3, 4... 12 stories rather, I think. Something like that. No, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, there are 9 stories. I just can't read. I'm about halfway through Studying Scarlet right now, although I kind of gave up on it because Bookmark, she's gone. But I'm going to go back to it at some point. But because it's like 1,000 pages long, I've been terrified, but no time like the present. And who knows how long we're going to be stuck here, so I might have time. Another one, which is very long, however, it's for a project which I can't talk about very much, is The Complete Works of Oscar Wilde. This is every single prose fiction, poetry, essay. This is every single piece of his works that has ever been discovered that he's written, or has ever been released, I suppose. It's also very long. It's over 1,270 pages. Holy heck, that's a lot. I'm currently in the middle of the picture Dorian Gray. Again, this is maybe for a project. I might just not do anything with it, so don't come at me if you don't see anything of it, but the plan is to do something with it. I apologise for that incredibly awkward face. I was trying to fix the camera and it didn't work and it annoyed me. So I have 4 books left. So 2 of them are children's books. I'll just go through them first. So Joan Aitken's Will So Willoughby Chase is a story about girls called Bonnie and Sylvia. Sylvia lives with her grandmother, and her grandmother is too sort of old and frail to look after her, so she moves, or she attempts to move to... Apologies, this is a story about Bonnie and Sylvia. Sylvia is moving to live with Bonnie as her grandmother can no longer look after her, and she gets on the train, and on the train there are these wolves chasing it and jumping into windows and things, and it basically entails what happens on that train journey, which is really interesting. This was given to me by my mother. I think it was a book that she maybe read as a child, or was given by a family member or something. I don't particularly know, but interested. It's also like 100 and something pages, so it's just a quick read. 158 pages, so it's not going to take me very long. I apologise for my dog. Another book that I have yet to read, that is quite short, is The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. How I have never read this, I have no idea. If you are somehow unaware, this is like a classic children's book. This is one of the Chronicles of Narnia, where the 4 children whose names I cannot remember. I know the young one's Lucy. I think there's an Edmund maybe. But the youngest daughter, Lucy, when they move to live in this sort of manor, I guess. Manor? I think. Lucy finds this wardrobe and goes in it for some reason, I don't remember the context, and walks out into Narnia, which is stuck, frozen in winter, and they have to kind of, you know, do all their fancy magic children guff and fix it, which is interesting. So yeah, I've had this copy of this book for a long time. This was gifted to me by a family friend when I was like 8, so it's been a while since I've had it, but I should probably read it now. The next I have is The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. This was a book I bought at Christmas and I've not touched since. This is a classic sort of alien invasion story. I think it's maybe known as a classic sci-fi story. Yeah, well, it occupies an honored place in science fiction. Wells is the Shakespeare of science fiction. Yeah, sci-fi classic. Um, and I need to read more sci-fi because I've maybe read 5 sci-fi books in my life. I've liked them all, but well, no, I've liked most of them, but I just don't tend to go to them, you know? Um, so yeah, this and my final book is something just out of pure insistence that I've seen people talking about it, and I will talk about this, or I will have, I guess. I don't know when this is being uploaded. I've said this in the other one as well. I've already talked about this in my March wrap up, because I bought it in March, not because I read it in March. This is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. Paperback Dreams does not shut up about this. It's her favourite book of all time, and I want to see what the fuss is about. Basically, it's about a girl called Frances, who basically doesn't know what she's doing with her life. She's a proper like study machine, but she doesn't know what she's doing with her future. And it's just like a sort of teen YA contemporary fiction, which interests me. So that is my what was my pun from before? COVID reads. My reads during the whole period of yeah, I don't know. But the things I want to read during quarantine. All of which I probably won't get to. Let's be realistic. I'm definitely not getting to all of them, because if I write a TBR, I'm not going to stick to it. But I have many that I would like to get to, and hopefully some of them I will. So let me know in the comments what you're planning on reading during this time of stress. If you're planning on reading anything at all, if you're not a reader, or if you, I don't know, if you don't know, you're just gonna kind of go with the flow, or what's going on, what are your plans for this time other than to be stressed, because that's not an ideal situation. But thank you so very much for watching this video. If you liked it, you know what to do. Please remember to drink your water, eat your vegetables, and peace out, I guess.